Ladakh, from being a biker's holy grail a decade ago, has managed to land in almost everyone's bucket list today. Anything that goes viral has a curse, it comes attached with a lot of noise. So let's debunk some of the most widespread myths about Ladakh, from the most dangerous to the funniest, and weigh those myths against facts. Let me start with the most dangerous myth of all. I've heard people say, I'm very fit, I go to the gym regularly on a daily basis, I can jog 5 kilometers in less than 30 minutes non-stop, all that. So, do I really need acclimatization? Yes, everyone needs acclimatization. Forget about we people going from the plains to the mountains. Let's take a guy who's born there in Ladakh or Spiti. So you know that obviously they are genetically adapted to the high altitude. Even if such a person comes down to the plains, lives there for like a few months, like 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then gets back to Ladakh, he also has to go through the mandatory acclimatization. I have a detailed video about AMS, acute mountain sickness. Please watch it. I'll leave it in the description and share. There are parts of Ladakh where the available oxygen is only 63 to 70% of the oxygen that we get here. So that is very thin air, and your body needs at least 2 days to generate enough red blood cells to cope up with that low oxygen. See, however fit you are, it doesn't happen in an hour or two, because I see people doing this foolish thing of landing in Leh, having a breakfast, after lunch they head straight to Kardungla. That clearly is you're subscribing for trouble. So don't do that, and think about it in this way. You're anyway spending like somewhere between 35 to 40,000. Sometimes it goes all the way up to 80, 90, even a lakh, depending upon where you're staying, how many days you're spending in Ladakh. You don't want to jeopardize that entire trip just because you become stingy on the first 2 days. So no matter whatever you do, no matter how healthy you are, if you are flying to Leh, you need 2 days acclimatization for sure. See, this isn't the case when you're riding from Manali or Srinagar, because let's say you're riding from Manali, from Delhi to Manali you're getting from 300 meters to 2000 meters, and from Manali to Jispa you're getting from 2000 meters to 3500 meters, and then you're climbing 2 passes, getting down, and by the time you reach Leh, you're giving your body that vital time to cope up with the thin air. Same thing happens with the Srinagar side as well. See, for example, you're going from Delhi to Srinagar, it's again 300 meters to 2000 meters, and then you climb Zojila, you get to 10,000 feet and then come down, and it takes like 2 days either side. See, if you're going through the Manali side, it's 3 days, and if you're going through the Srinagar side, it's minimum 2 days, and that's enough time for you to acclimatize. But then if you're flying from Delhi to Leh, it's like 50 minutes and you get dropped in, you land in Leh, there's no way your body is going to cope up in an hour or two. So especially when you fly, you definitely need those 2 days of acclimatization. So the second myth is the funniest of all. Is Ladakh a honeymoon destination? I just told you how difficult it is to breathe in Ladakh on the first 2 days, right? So what are you going to do in a place where you can't even breathe? Ladakh is basically an adventure destination, and see, for example, if you ask, is it only for bikers? No, it is good enough for families. It is fantastic for couples. See, you provided that you've already been in Ladakh before, you take your wife, land in Leh, rent a motorcycle, and then go around, it's a fantastic place, but then not a place for honeymoon, especially, you have a newlywed wife. This happens with people who haven't been to Ladakh before. See, if you are planning a honeymoon to Ladakh, you should have been in Ladakh before that, because when you are in Ladakh, you will not be doing this. So Ladakh is definitely not a honeymoon destination unless and until you are looking for a breathtaking honeymoon, well, in the literal sense. I've come across many websites sell 3-day, 4-day itineraries, and I've come across at least a dozen videos that promote a 3-day or a weekend Ladakh itinerary. Earlier in this video, we saw, it takes at least 2 days for your body to cope up with that thin air and high altitude. So the third day you're back. So what are you going to do in Ladakh? So the bare minimum is about 5 to 6 days. To be more sane, it's like 6 nights and 7 days. That's the bare minimum. So I've got a video for the shortest Ladakh itinerary. Please watch it if you're planning a Ladakh trip. So that's the reality. You need at least 6 days and 5 nights, or 7 days and 6 nights with 1 backup day. That's what Ladakh demands. Anyone who's made a video about 3-day itinerary has pretty much only been there only once and been lucky. See, it's not like everyone gets into a problem with Ladakh. See, the problem is, some people might get lucky and nothing happens to them on day 1 if they get to Kardungla. But then the problem is the risk is already there. See, for example, what are the chances of getting a road accident? But then we are prepared for the road accident, right? So it's something like that. Some people might get lucky, but then the problem is you cannot have it as a benchmark guideline to do the same thing, because you might get into a problem. And as I told you, you're spending so much on a Ladakh trip, so another 2 days, if you're stingy, your entire trip might go for a loss. So don't do that. And I see this weird thing, when I search, the search results come as 3 days itinerary, 4 days itinerary, weekend itinerary, and 6 days. Obviously people are going to turn up to the more convenient ones. But the problem is, don't put yourself into a risk, because anyone who knows Ladakh properly will not suggest a 3-day itinerary. See, on one hand, you have people traveling to Ladakh considering it like Shimla Kulu Manali. So Ladakh is not a Shimla Kulu Manali. But on the other hand, you have people, shying away from Ladakh, thinking that it is very dangerous, it's brutal and stuff like that. See, both are not true. There's a middle way here. See, 10 years back, the road conditions in Ladakh used to be very bad, and all the way from Manali to Leh was one full off-road. But now, the roads have gotten a lot better, and Ladakh has gotten a lot safer. Leh has become a hotel town. There are multiple options to stay. Even in Pangong, you have multiple tents and camps and homestays, and even in the remote villages, you are getting more and more homestays popping up every year. Ladakh isn't that hostile as it used to be 10 years back, because 10 years back only adventure seekers and hardcore bikers were doing Ladakh. But after 2009-10, everything changed, unfortunately. So Ladakh is not dangerous. See, it is true that you're treading some of the highest mountains in the world. It might feel dangerous, and when you're there, some might even feel archophobic. But then Ladakh has gotten a lot safer in the recent years, and even with all the extremities, right now Ladakh is comparably safe. So there is nothing to worry about. See, there is a difference between taking things for granted, being cautious, and being scared of it. So be cautious. Ladakh is a fantastic place, and it is very safe today. I've seen many YouTube thumbnails starting with a -30, -50. So watching all that, many people are in the assumption that, Ladakh is always in negative figures when it comes to temperature. Again, not true, it's a myth. So let's take the season months, June, July and August. So that's when a majority of the people flock to Ladakh, and September is the shoulder month. So Ladakh gets almost all of its crowd in all these 4 months. And when you consider these 4 months, it's the average temperature is somewhere around 10 to 15 degrees and sometimes 20. And there are days in July and August where the highs can go up all the way to somewhere between 25 to 30. So Ladakh in summer months is not that cold. Even the high passes, they are fairly doable. You can have a normal jacket and that should be more than enough. See, Ladakh is a cold desert. There is no doubt about it. See, if you go in winter in January, February, the average temperature in Leh is about minus 16, sometimes minus 20. And if you go to the high passes, it's about minus 25 to minus 30. But that's only in peak winter. And lately, global warming is creating havoc all over the place, and the winters are shrinking and the summers are expanding. So Ladakh isn't that cold if you're going in season time, that is between June, July, August and September. So again, Ladakh being bitterly cold throughout the year is a myth. I don't understand from where this Leh Ladakh thing came in. Most of you know that before 2019, Ladakh was a region in Jammu and Kashmir state, and after 2019, Ladakh is a separate union territory, and Leh is the capital of Ladakh. It's pretty meaningless to tell that I made a trip to Leh Ladakh. See, it's as meaningless as me telling I went on a trip to Chennai, Tamil Nadu or Bangalore, Karnataka. That is something that misleads people that, maybe Leh and Ladakh are two different places, and it's more like, doing a trip in Ladakh and Kashmir. So Leh is the capital and Ladakh is the union territory right now. And the biggest of all myths is Kardungla being the world's highest motorable road. It is not. Kardungla in fact is not even in the top 10. So I've made two videos, one about why Kardungla is not the highest motorable road, and the other one is about the actual highest motorable road in the world, Umlingla. I've got a turn-by-turn guide. So watch both these videos. These are some of the myths that I wanted to debunk because there are very limited content about these things. And hope I earned your subscription with this. See you next week with another video. Until then, travel more, travel safe. See you, buddy.